What if beneath the calm surface of Chase Center's off-season silence, the rumbling undercurrent of Jonathan Kuminga's future is about to erupt and reshape the very soul of the Warriors? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Now, let's dive headfirst into the saga that has consumed every corner of Dub Nation's off-season chatter. The Jonathan Kuminga mystery that refuses to resolve, with whispers, rumors, and clock-ticking drama stretching relentlessly into July, and potentially far beyond. Here we are on day 5 of the 2025 NBA free agency period, and still no ink on a deal for Kuminga, a restricted free agent whose ambitions have grown far beyond what the Warriors' current blueprint can offer. This isn't just about salary or minutes. It's about destiny, about a young star at just 22 years old staring down the crossroads of his career, convinced he's destined to be a ball-dominant, multi-time all-star, someone who commands offenses, carves his own path on isolation plays, and unapologetically demands a $30 million plus paycheck to match his confidence. But that vision clashes violently with the Warriors' DNA, a team built around Steph Curry's offense flowing like a well-oiled machine, with Draymond Green and Klay Thompson anchoring roles that leave little room for a raw, isolation-heavy wing like Kuminga. The ill fit has been painfully clear. Kuminga's inability to carve out a significant role in Golden State, the roller coaster ride of being benched down the stretch of last season, barely seen the floor in critical moments, except for that desperate Western Conference semifinal series against the Timberwolves when Steph went down, forcing the Warriors to morph their entire scheme around him. And in those moments, Kuminga flashed promise. A glimpse, a spark that reminded everyone. He's got untapped potential, but perhaps that potential serves better on a different stage. Veteran insiders, notably Anthony Slater, have given us the starkest updates yet, revealing that discussions between the Warriors and Kuminga's team have been painstakingly deliberate and strained, a slow untangling of a relationship that may soon reach an end. The Warriors have rejected offers, including a buy low proposal from the Sacramento Kings featuring Devin Carter, a second-year player with injury concerns, yet significant upside former Warrior Dario Saric, and 2 second-round picks, an offer that some internal analysts casually dismissed or even favored over Kuminga's unpredictability, underscoring just how complex the valuation has become. But it's not just about the Kings. Rumors swirl of other suitors, some surprising, like the Washington Wizards, who in the last 24 hours have emerged as a genuine contender to trade for Kuminga, injecting new life into a story that seems stuck in endless no-man's land. Alongside the Wizards, whispers suggest lingering interest from the Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, Brooklyn Nets, and now even the Milwaukee Bucks, an unexpected name. Given their current saga trying to build around Giannis Antetokounmpo, could Milwaukee be viewing Kuminga as a dynamic offer piece to sweeten Giannis' roster? Or are these just faint echoes in a league starved for good young players? The Wizards' entry is intriguing for another reason. They wield assets that threaten to unlock Golden State's cap flexibility, notably a protected 2030 first-round pick, a cash piece that if freed up could thaw the Warriors' long-frozen trade capital and spur future blockbuster moves. Picture the Warriors swapping Kuminga and giving up Guy Santos in return for a player like Corey Kispert, an efficient, floor-spacing wing who fits neatly into Golden State's offensive scheme, and perhaps Kelly Olynyk, a veteran presence, capable of mentoring Moses Moody and shoring up front-court scoring, molding themselves into a rotation that finally feels deep and versatile beyond the glaring wings and Splash Brothers. But the question echoes ruthlessly. Will Golden State accept what feels like a downgrade in talent just for flexibility's sake? Would they risk trading away a former number 7 overall pick who, despite frustrations, still carries Joe Lacob's quiet faith, a faith born from the Warriors' timeline and reconstruction plans that haven't yet yielded the hopeful results? Lacob's noted presence next to Kuminga in the home opener cut through the noise, a reminder that ownership's attachment runs deeper than dollars and contracts. Though we hope those basketball decisions are rightly left to Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr., keeping passion tempered by pragmatism. The financial realities also loom large. The Warriors can only absorb 50% of Kuminga's new contract in a sign-and-trade scenario, inherently capping the immediate return and complicating negotiations immensely. Meanwhile, Kuminga and his camp won't settle for a side role. They want to be the focal point, commanding $25+ million annually, and their patience is as thin as the cap space around the NBA. A bleak climate for restricted free agents trying to market themselves amid tight payrolls. Anthony Slater's latest break reveals the possibility that Kuminga's saga will drag on deep into July, perhaps through summer league meetings and face-to-face negotiations in Las Vegas, a chess match prolonged, with stakes escalating as the clock ticks ever closer to training camp and the looming uncertainty of roster continuity. There's even talk of a tentative sit-down that's already happened in Vegas between Kuminga, his agent, GM Dunleavy, and Coach Kerr, part mediation, part diplomatic summit trying, to chart a path forward that could either mean reintegration in Golden State's plans or a clean parting of ways. The emotional tension here is palpable. On one hand, we all remember the high hopes, the flashes of the We Believe era's underdog spirit rekindled in a new generation. The hope that Kuminga could evolve into a cornerstone replacing the fading Dynasty stars. On the other, the fear that prolonged dysfunction like the Wiseman debacle before him might fracture chemistry, undermine continuity, and force the Warriors into scrambling a roster that's desperately chasing synergy and a competitive identity in the ultra-tough Western Conference. The last thing Dub Nation wants is to see this saga bleed into another trade deadline headache or stall the delicate rebuilding rhythm that Kerr and Dunleavy have been painstakingly orchestrating. So, what now? Should Golden State accept a deal? With the Wizards potentially sacrificing a young talent for a first-round pick to thaw their trade capital and maintain roster flexibility? Are we on the brink of a blockbuster summer haul that realigns the Warriors' future, or merely trading one question mark for another? Could Corey Kispert and Kelly Olynyk be the unsung puzzle pieces that elevate this team, filling gaps invisible until now? Or does the entire Kuminga drama underscore a deeper crisis, one where the franchise's timeline and vision are at odds with the volatile ambitions of its young stars? As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, heart pounding at the crossroads our team stands upon. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty, pushing us back to championship contention? Or is it the crack that fractures our legacy, scattering the promises of a new generation into the winds? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand, digging into every passionate opinion this saga demands. If you're gripping your phone right now, heart racing over Kuminga's next move like it's Game 7, and Steph just crossed half court with 2 seconds left, I need you to rage in the comments. Are we witnessing the slow death of a dynasty, or the last desperate bid for relevance? Because make no mistake, the Kuminga saga isn't just a trade rumor or contract holdout. It's a seismic fault line ripping through the Warriors' core identity. A test that threatens everything from Curry's Twilight legacy to Steve Kerr's blueprint for reinvention. Picture this Steph Curry, the man who rewrote the game with a flick of his wrist, watching a young splash kid fidget under the spotlight, chafing at his role, hungry for ball dominance that Golden State's system can't or won't provide. This isn't just basketball. It's a generational clash. A drama unfolding beyond the hardwood, like some Shakespearean tragedy where roles refuse to fit, and egos, ambitions, and hopes collide with the brutal realities of salary caps and locker room chemistry. The Warriors once, the unshakable, bioengineered dynastic machine, are now at a crossroads as brutal as any after the 2019 Finals collapse, when questions about the team's identity began to cut deeper than any scoreboard deficit. But this? Kuminga's potential departure feels more like the fracturing of a foundation, the exposed wiring beneath the pristine veneer of the Chase Center, threatening to unravel the years of careful construction laid down by Kerr, Dunleavy, and the front office masterminds. What if Kuminga leaving isn't just a single piece gone? What if it sparks a migration of faith inside the organization, fans, and even ownership? Remember that look from Joe Lacob at the home opener when he sat courtside next to Kuminga? It was more than optics. It was a silent plea, a tether holding on to hope that this young star still fits into the Warriors' future. But the whispers beneath the surface, those late-night front office conversations, the guarded phone calls with agents and rival G-Miz have the air of a slow unraveling. The question now is, how much longer can Kerr mask the growing tensions in the locker room? When players like Moody and Wiggins quietly eye Kuminga's minutes, ambitions, and frustrations, does this threaten the delicate equilibrium that's kept Golden State competitive and sane? Draymond, the emotional heart and defensive anchor, has always been the locker room thermostat. His moods dictate the vibe. What happens if the emotional strain from a fractured roster scratches at his patience? Could we see a rift widen between the old guard and the emerging core, like when tensions bubbled in the post-2016 Finals rebuild? And what about Steph, our unchallenged GOAT, still the king but now at a stage where every loss, every injury, every stuttering lineup change chips at his legend? The pressure to win now, to remind the world that the dynasty isn't dead, is enormous. Every whisper of Kuminga's discontent adds weight to a narrative that something is slipping beyond. The Warriors' grasp. Now tossed in the trade rumor firestorm, Washington's protected 2031 rounder dangling like a carrot. Milwaukee, Miami, Chicago lurking in shadows, the prospect that Kuminga, once sacrosanct, might be the key piece pawn for flexibility. Or roster pieces who aren't exactly slam dunks in Dub Nation's eyes. Are Corey Kispert and Kelly Olynyk the missing puzzle pieces Kerr craves? The role players who finally blend into Steph's poetry, or just placeholders in a game of musical chairs? And who loses here? The talent, the culture, the fan trust? Warriors. Fans remember the Wiseman saga, a cautionary tale of promise crashing into reality's brick wall. Is Kuminga destined for a similar fate? Or could this dangerous crossroads forge a new kind of warrior spirit, one that embraces evolution rather than clinging to old scripts? The clock is not just ticking, it's screaming. With Kuminga's camp firm against any side role, with salary cap constraints hardening into an iron trap, with training camp looming and no resolution in sight, the Warriors face a brinkmanship unlike anything we've seen since the first We Believe shockwaves sent ripples through NBA history. And what if this indecision and tension bleed into the season? What if the Giants of Chase Center this year are not just the players on the floor, but the looming specter of unspoken fractures? Imagine a lineup built on compromise rather than clarity, where young stars play unsure roles and veterans mask the chaos. Could this be the beginning of the end of what we loved about Golden State? Or is this tough, abrasive phase the crucible from which a new dynasty will rise? As someone who's lived through the roller coaster from the 2015 title run to the Game 6 heartbreaks and the triumphant comebacks, I feel it deep in my bones. Something's breaking, yes, but maybe, just maybe, something's being reborn. The diehard in me screams for loyalty, for faith, for the chase of another championship parade down Market Street. But the realist knows this. Basketball is a brutal, business-driven symphony where emotions clash with cold calculations. And Jonathan Kuminga? Whether he stays or goes, whether Golden State reshapes around him or burns the bridge behind him, this saga will echo through Dub Nation for years, a defining moment in the franchise's narrative. So now no holding back, no sugarcoating. Drop your fiercest, rawest takes below. Are we doubling down on a future without Kuminga? Is this the fracture that signals final fades, or the spark that lights a new flame? I'll be right here, reading every word, debating every theory, riding this emotional storm alongside every true Dub Nation believer. Because this isn't just a story, it's our story.